But the crazy thing is, I know so many people, like they go out drinking and they fall asleep with a chew-in. Like multiple times. I've done it once on accident.
Like you go out and you get sloshed, and then you come home and you pop a chew in and you just fall asleep.
Or you have to chew in from when you were out and you fall asleep with it in. That's only happened to me one time in my life.
And you just wake up choking on just like burning.
No, it just drools all out of your mouth because a lot of people drool when they sleep, and it's just, yeah, it's not a fun time.
It doesn't, yeah, but you swallow too.
Well, that
you don't
point
just wake up
drool,
with burning tobacco in the back of your throat.
Pretty much. It's not fun.
Sick.
Yeah, I'm a one and done person. Like before I'm remotely ready for bed, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's just go with this. Unnecessary.
Okay. I mean, I thought it was supposed to make you like, I thought it was supposed to be a stimulus, a stimulant.
Yes and no, but at the same time,
so when you're chewing, does it like, what does it do?
Nicotine's weird. Like I've never been addicted to cigarettes, so I can't like vouch for people that smoke. But my experience of it is like it does stimulate. It is somewhat of a stimulant, but like for me, it's not because.
So like when you smoke cigarettes, does it like it gets you? I mean, does it like what is it like? Is it like a drunk buzz or is it like a stimulant buzz, like a speed buzz?
Honestly, with chew, like the first time, like about let's say I can quit chewing, I can stop chewing for like a month. The first chew I put in, I'm gonna get that head rush, and it's kind of like that first, like you're buzzed and you feel good, like you're like, let's do this. It's kind of that, but it's I'm trying to think what else I can compare it to without saying it because we're recording. But anyways, yeah, it feels like that.
Okay.
Combination of both.
All right. Anyways, now that we have had some nicotine education, I'm just going to go ahead and finally introduce the program. This is the 4th episode of the Modern Method. For the last 2, I'll admit it, I screwed up. We screwed up on release dates. Episode 2, I said episode 3, episode 4. No, episode 3.
Yeah.
I said episode 2. Just forget it. You see how it's written on YouTube and on Spotify, and that's how it actually is.
Yeah, guys, we're still pretty new at this, and we couldn't decide what we wanted to do. So
yeah, Jesse was drunk the entire time. So that's what happened.
Rude.
Well, I can't just sit here and lie.
Okay. The last one, the one we just released, I wasn't even drunk. I had 2 door
music and movies.
I didn't even drink that one.
What?
No,
that was just me. Well, it might have been my fault. Okay, I'll take the hit on one of them, and then on the second one, whatever.
Second one was a group effort. Anyways,
this is 4. This is 4. We're back at 4 main storyline because honestly, 3, which I said was 2, but is actually 3, was actually part of the special series, which is not guaranteed to happen all the time, and they just sort of drop when they drop.
Right.
So that's how that goes. What about AOC's dress?
What? AOC's dress?
Yeah, at the Met Gala. Did you see that?
I actually did not.
Controversial topic. You're gonna have to look up a picture of this. Look up a picture of this. AOC's dress at the Met Gala, which is like, and I didn't even know I mean, I know that a Met Gala is an excuse to get fancy and you donate a bunch of money, but even though most of your tickets are comped because you're a celebrity, they're like $30,000 per ticket, and you're donating to a costume fund thing for an art whatever museum in New York that, again, you have to be pretty prissy to go there.
I saw this, but not the actual one.
Yeah. The tax the rich dress is what I'm talking about.
Right. I saw it because I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I don't know. I don't follow pop culture that much or whatnot anymore. I try to not.
Right.
But anyways, I saw that on an Instagram post. It's actually from a page I follow. I think it's hilarious. If anybody out here is football fans want a good laugh, it's a page called NFL Memes. And her dress didn't say tax to rich. It said the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead.
Well, no, there's a shit ton of memes that came out from it. But and you know what? I'm sure that all AOC wants to do is good things with her platform that she has. But at the same time, I'm reading that she owes $2,000 in taxes from last year. Like, what the fuck? She had like some publishing company that like didn't go anywhere, and that now she owes a bunch of taxes on it and hasn't paid them, even though she's apparently got $30,000 extra to go to this Met Gala ball and pay however much she did for that dress.
Well, number one, I don't even know who she is.
You don't know who AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's the. You don't know who that is? Well, then I'm not even going to keep talking about it. Then you don't know that. How the fuck do you know? The Squad?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay. I think you know her if you saw her, but you obviously don't.
Sorry, everybody. I'm not as hip.
It's not really hip. Well, it's politics, first of all. She's a politician.
Well,
forget it. Just forget it. You want to talk about the dresses some more? You want to... Billie Eilish's dress was as long as the limo she came in. There's a picture of her going down a hallway. It looks like she's Rose in Titanic, except it is literally just a wave of peach. Because that's where the color of her dress was.
Right.
Ridiculous. I think there's some more backstory to that too, but I don't know it. But I'm not going to say anything bad about Billie because I like her.
No, I do really like her too. Her music's badass.
There were like, seriously, just look up pictures when you have time. Look up pictures of like what people were wearing at that thing, because they also got really frequent. Kim Kardashian came just all black, like you couldn't see her face, her hands, or nothing. It was just like a black like wrap dress.
So they combined a dress with a morph suit.
It was like a Dementor.
Oh,
I mean, it wasn't ripped up dirty cloak, but I mean, it was about the same thing. I think it has something to do with Donda.
Hollywood's just weird now.
Hollywood, and then AOC gets invited.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Hell, they should have invited you and me. We would have made it a party.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. But we didn't have $30,000 per ticket or someone to comp them, so I guess we could just go fuck ourselves. So the reason that we're here today, the main topic that we're talking about actually is how overworking affects mental and physical health and job performance overall. That is on par with what the modern method is, even though it doesn't have to do with necessarily a topic in history, but it is an epic of the times, for sure.
Right.
And the reason this was always going to be a topic that we were going to do, but I wanted to move it up just because it's something that I've been thinking about more recently.
Okay.
Just as in like things that I'm doing with my personal life and stuff, just to give people background, I guess. And sort of what culture looks like now as it's being reshaped after COVID, specifically with like employment turnover and things like that.
Right.
Is where I'm noticing it a lot, because a lot of my job, and no one has any reason to know this, a lot of what my job is onboarding and offboarding people now, just because I'm manage IT for an ad agency, and that's pretty much all I ever do at this point. I mean, it's just managing those things. So it's just been something that's been at the front of my mind for a long time now. I want to say that this year, and these aren't real statistics. I didn't sit down and actually do the math on it, but I want to say since I started, we're looking at 60% turnover, and I've only worked at this agency for 9 months.
Well, and that's like even on my end too. Like we have, and like we talked about this in the last podcast, we have just in the logistics industry, there's so much turnover because it's like we need bodies.
Right.
And like the freight's not going to move itself. So it's.
Well, one of the problems that you have too is, I mean, a lot of those jobs are also going to be part-time.
Right.
So those aren't necessarily easy to keep for long periods of time in the first place. And I'm not talking bad about the agency that I work for when I say that there's a lot of turnover. it's happening to all agencies right now. First of all, I mean, turnover you can expect for certain positions to be like every 2 years. And you could just say, well, I'm coming in at like this point where there's a wave of it. And that was true to a degree, but it's also so true just because work status is just changing. I mean, to a lot of work from home, or just to employees sort of taking back their like right to live their lives the way that they want to. And I think that it's good in a lot of ways. I
Right.
don't think that this is bad from an employee standpoint, and it's not bad from an employer standpoint either. Sure, yeah, if you could just have people that just worked flawlessly for 100 hours a week, obviously that'd be great for you, but that's just not how it works.
Right. That would be in a perfect world.
But I mean, everybody is also an employee at the same time. I'm not saying that you need to be lazy or something like that, or that you are lazy if you want a more flexible job, or anything to do with that. I am all for hard work, and you should work a certain amount of hours. I think there should be a certain work ethic that you uphold and that you do. But at what point does it go over? And marketing in general is notorious for overworking people. It's just because the nature of what it is too. I mean, you don't have to work in it. You do choose it. I don't even work in it. I work for it. And I do have it. I mean, I have it a lot easier than other people do, just because that isn't what my job is anyways. I'm there to make sure people have the tools to do the job. And that doesn't really extend after hours most of the time.
Right. And that's like, especially like in the marketing department, like a lot of it's done on a computer. So somebody can do, somebody can still work from home. Like they could come into the office, work all day, then they can end up working another 3-4 hours at the computer at home.
Every night. And I mean, if you want to say that,
Time.
right. And if you want to say 3 to 4 hours a night, I mean, even 3 hours a night for 5 days in a row is an extra 15 hours a week then. And now you're going from 40 to 50. I mean, yeah, to 55 minimum.
Right.
So I actually have some stats that I saw that I looked up earlier today that I just wanted to share. This one actually comes from Harvard Health Publishing.
Okay.
And it talks about the risk of heart attack and stroke for people that work over 55 hours a week.
Okay.
So it reads that those that work over 55 hours per week experience 13% greater risk of heart attack.
Oh.
And of that 13%, 33% are more than likely to suffer a stroke.
Hmm.
And it goes on to talk about things like what work ethic in other countries is like. This was obviously the United States. And in developed countries like ours, exaggerated overtime is not seen as a problem. I mean, obviously everybody knows that. No boss is ever going to say, oh, well, you should, like, they're going to encourage that you work more. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're on salary. So I think that this specifically had to do with white collar jobs, not necessarily manufacturing jobs, but there's more on that, on a loss of productivity, specifically with both of those types of jobs.
Oh, for sure.
And it continued to talk about how like Japan has a crazy, like they're hard workers. They're known for just going over the top and working all the time, and you're expected really to work extra hours. And they have a word called, and I'm probably going to butcher the way this is pronounced. I don't know Japanese, but karoshi, which apparently translates as death from overwork. So Japan's government actually has 5 days mandatory vacation for everybody. Like the nation state of Japan mandates that you take a 5-day vacation.
Just one?
What?
Is it like, I'm just
one
curious,
set of 5 days or 5 days all day. I don't know if it's like separated or whatever, but you have the right by the government that you must take it. Because I don't think that they're limiting overworked hours.
Hmm.
So in
Yes,
lieu of having a cap on how many hours you're because that's also a little bit unfair too. Because if
yeah.
I'm honest, there are times when I need to work overtime and I'm not going to complain about that. It's necessary to get the job done. There is obviously a limit. I mean, if it was 5 hours a night every night, that's bullshit. But but when it's necessary, so you can't really put a cap on that. So I think that's why they put the 5-day mandatory break, and then they expect. Actually, let's see if I have it written down. No, I don't have it written down for Japan. There is actually another list of countries that I have for most mandated PTO days mandated by the federal government. That
Okay.
is. So I've got the top 5, 6. I've got the top 10 down.
Okay.
What do you think number 1 is? Where the government mandates most days. I mean, it's actually a 6-way tie, and this is coming from USA Today. So,
I say, in my mind, like the first one, well, to me, the first one that comes to mind would be like, I think I want to say the Netherlands, or
not even in there. So you
feel
would
like-
think, because a lot of people would associate that with like overall happiness, and you would.
yeah, I feel like it's got to be Europe. It's got the 6-way tie. It's probably half European countries.
It's actually only 2.
Really?
Yep. 1/3 is European. The rest, they're from different places.
Okay.
But I guess 1/3 would equal out to whatever. Yeah. So the 6-way tie. So give me one more guess.
I feel like there's a lot of countries I just think of.
South America's in there, just so you know.
All right, I'll go with South America one. Argentina? No, Brazil.
So Brazil, they actually put it number 1, but like I said, it's a 6-way tie, so I don't know if that actually means anything. So let me just name off the countries that do this. So Brazil, Comoros, which I actually kind of pride myself on geography, and I've never heard of that. I don't know where that is. Djibouti.
Well, I still love that name.
France, Guinea, and Spain.
Huh.
All right. So Brazil, Comoros, Djibouti, France, Guinea, and Spain all have a 30-day mandatory vacation period for employees in the country.
Geez, that'd be nice.
Wouldn't it? And I actually consider myself lucky. I get 21. All right. I think it's 21. 120 hours, I think it's 21. It's more than a lot of people get. I've actually never gotten vacation days, period, before. Anywhere that I've worked. Granted, a lot of those have been part-time. I mean, 3 part-time jobs at once, you're not going to necessarily get the benefits. Right. But even when I was full-time in other places before, you wouldn't get those. So all of those, and I wouldn't have expected any of them to be up there. I didn't know France gave you that much. And then to put it into perspective, the UK gives you 28, which is close.
Yeah.
The UAE,
what's that at?
The United Arab Emirates, gives you 26.
Oh, really?
And Denmark gives you 25. And I brought Denmark in for a reason. Compare that with the United States, we guarantee you 0. There's like medical leave and stuff like that, obviously. And there are things that, I mean, if you get hurt, you have to, but it's not like it's mental health, take the day off because you need to.
Right.
And that absolutely should be a thing for the number 1 country in the world in a lot of things, especially GDP.
Right.
But they don't even talk about it. They don't care. So to put it into perspective, the UK, which a lot of people are just going to associate is on the same level with us in a lot of ways.
Right.
28 paid vacation days with GDP per capita at 42,000 and a half per person dollars. Compare that with the USA's 65,000 But Denmark is often associated as one of the happiest places on the planet,
Yeah.
or just happiest people. They give you 25 mandatory days off, and their GDP per capita is 60,000. That's very close to ours. That's 25 days more. That's almost an entire month of mandatory PTO that you have to take. And then if you want to compare that with happiest cities in the world, Aarhus, Denmark is number 2. In fact, in the top 5, Denmark comes in twice.
Really?
As having 2 of the happiest places in the entire world. And that obviously correlates with how they live their lifestyle. And just to tell you too, the USA is number 18. The first city that comes up, which is Washington, is the 18th happiest city in the world. That's not terrible. And I mean, you're also competing, but we have the most resources possible to help make people's lives better.
Oh, I know, for sure.
So, and with this, when I bring these up too, I'm just sort of exploring these ideas. I'm not exactly slamming the USA. I mean, I am a little bit, actually. I mean, it is a little bit of bullshit. But I think that things like that are going to start coming into perspective more as we continue to move away from COVID.
Yeah.
Just because the landscape's changing so much.
Oh, and it's changing so much because, like, 2 years ago, everything was normal. Then COVID hits, and everybody's life has just drastically changed. Like, can't go anywhere. You can't really do anything, and that was really hard for a lot of people and employers to deal with because, like, in my industry, like, you need to be there. I can't go move freight on a forklift at home.
Right.
I have to be there. And
right.
And that's the thing, like, from working from home, I think it did take a lot of stress off of people because you don't have to get up, you don't have to go deal with traffic, you don't have to drive, you don't have to drive downtown. And I think I'm trying to remember, there was some study, and they said this was, a few months, like I think it was maybe like late last year. And they said people are actually more productive working from home than they were at the office.
So I know I'm not. I think that's really particular. That is not me. I have got to be in there all through COVID. So when I started actually working full time in this ad agency, I have taken a max 3 days work from home. And one of them was because I couldn't get out of the damn driveway because there was 5 feet of snow. They don't plow anything here. It was still coming down like a bitch, and there's no salt to melt it. So I literally couldn't get the hell out of the driveway. So I had to work from home, but I wanted to go in. Right. Because I am just not as productive at home. I admit it.
And I feel like you and I are like those people that we have to be in the thick of it. Like, we have to be hands-on in it.
Right.
We can't just sit at home because if I work from home on a computer, I'd be 15 minutes and I'm like, oh, look, a squirrel.
Well, there's so many distractions. There's food. No one's going to see what you're wearing or what you're not.
For all you know, I'm not wearing pants.
And I know plenty of people that are more productive at home. And it shows. I am just particularly not one of them.
I feel like, especially like how, like, my job is like I go to work every day. So when I come home, if I don't have anything planned, or I don't have any projects I want to do on the weekend, I try my best to relax and try to recharge. And
right.
I feel like a lot of people now, like, especially with everything short staffed, a lot of people are just working themselves out, like literally working themselves to death, and you don't have time to let your body relax, let your mind relax. Because, like me, working second shift, I get off of work between 10:30 and maybe 11:30. I'm still up till like 2 or 3 in the morning because my mind's still going.
Right. And it takes me forever to wind down. I mean, and I don't even you work second shift. I get home at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm still not ready to go to bed at 11.
Right.
I'm also a psycho. But that also brings me to another point. about the overworking thing, because it's not just overworking with work, with your career. I mean, there's also other things. So for my personal experience, and this is nothing that's mandatory, I don't have to be doing this, but for my graduate degree, but for my MBA, there's so much that goes on with that. There are so many. I am also lucky in that point because I live alone. I don't have kids. I hardly know anybody in this city that's 1,200 miles away from home. So it is a perfect canvas for me to just be able to make my own schedule and structure. And still doing that, it still sucks so bad because and this is not really me complaining. So many people have deal with this because people also want to just go and do the same thing that I'm doing. So I'm not unique in this situation, but you get up, you go work in the morning, you work your dick off all day or your boobs off, I don't know. And then you get home. And then it's like immediately you have all this other stuff to do because I mean, I might spend 10 hours a week on schoolwork then.
Right.
So then this is also, and they also overload you so much at the same time. And I get it. With especially like at that level, you really should be pushed. I'm not saying that I'm upset with the workload because whatever. So a lot of times it's unnecessary, I think, though. And I don't have a statistic on this, but there has to be a certain point where, actually, I do have a statistic on this, but not specifically for academics. There must be a point where it is just, it's so much work that now you're nowhere near as productive. Now there's a big loss in productivity that could either be with the career that you work in, that could be with school that you're doing full time. Tons of people have problems with this too. I mean, it's really not that, whatever. I'm not going to get into the personals about it. Everybody deals with things differently, and everybody is in a different situation than I am too. But then not only, it doesn't just stop there. This is completely discrediting everything to do, not discrediting, discounting everything that goes on in your personal life. Then what if I did have kids? What if I decided that was the thing that I wanted to do before I had started doing all this? Well, it might make a lot of this stuff impossible, and it just, so time management is a real bitch then too when it comes to being overloaded and overworked. So the statistic that I had on it, and this was the one that I was saying that had differentiation between blue collar and white collar work. Mm-hmm. So specifically for both of them combined, when you just look at people who work 60 hours or more, if you reach that threshold and you go over it, performance supposedly, according to this website that, of course, I didn't write down the name of it, decreases by 25%.
Huh.
So if you go over 60 hours, and that happens all the time, performance decreases by 25%, by a quarter. You're still productive. I get that. From a business standpoint, if you just do not give a shit about what your employees are doing, they're still being productive. But that also causes so many other issues with morale and things like that. So excessive overtime, and then again, this is coming from this website, can lead to absenteeism. And I'm sure that you see that a lot. You get overworked on the dock and people just start calling off because they just get sick of it, because they could work the hours, but then when it matters and when they're scheduled, and now it fucks the schedule up, and you have people calling off, turnover increases because now it's like, what the hell? And I mean, everybody is looking for something. Again, that's not unique to any one person. So if you get pissed and fed up with this one thing, you try something else out, even if it's a good idea or not, you just do it. And then that contributes to having labor issues.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Amazon obviously is a huge culprit of that. And I don't know from personal experience, but everything that I see about reviews of working at Amazon and stuff are just ballistic hours. And some people are meant for it, some people aren't. And I know that some level jobs, they will pay you an ass ton. You might get 300 grand a year from Amazon and you're expected to work your ass off, and obviously you should for it. Mm-hmm. But that's not the majority of people.
No, and that's the thing, like a lot of people will leave logistics companies, like if you want to be like in management, and they'll give you a fat sign-on bonus and it looks great. Everything looks great on paper. But from what I've heard, they work you like a dog. Mm. And I get it. Amazon is huge. Like you got to get all that stuff out. I understand.
Right, I get it, but like there must be some kind of sweet spot there to where you're
Yeah.
going to attract employees
Exactly.
and they'll work the hours. I mean, I remember watching this one YouTube video, and this was a while ago. It was someone documenting how they worked at Amazon, and he took like a camera in with him and everything. I don't know if he got in trouble for this or not, but he was doing like those, it was either 3 or 4 12-hour shifts in a row,
Mm-hmm.
and he was doing them overnight. So he would, document him getting to work. He would get like, I think it was like an hour and a half break or something, or 2 hours for working that long. So he would just go out into his car and sleep between the shifts, get up and do it again. That just doesn't sound like a good way to do that. Like who wants to do that?
And I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, your night nurses, they only work 3 12s. Maybe they need to make some extra cash. They'll do 4, but they only do 3 because, especially in that field, like you need a few days to recharge and relax. Because especially now, like the medical field is just so freaking stressful now.
Yeah, well, and they don't have enough people.
No, and
that's a job that absolutely matters.
Yeah, like that's a job you need the bodies for.
Right.
Like, yeah, like my department, yeah, you need bodies to move freight. You can do it with a little bit less, but like the medical field, like you need people to know what they're doing. Like you have people's lives in your hands.
And be on top of it and not be fatigued.
Exactly.
When they're sticking you with shit or doing whatever.
Exactly.
Or mixing up your medicine and stuff like that. Like and a lot, I mean, I don't know, a lot of that problem honestly probably comes too from people just being so nervous about going into a place littered with COVID. That doesn't help either.
No.
But I mean, so a lot of that is just going to come up to personal decision for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, and I mean, like, and so many hospitals are going over capacity anymore again, either like they did last year.
Yeah.
The thing is with that though, that makes it sort of hard for me is, I mean, hospitals are always like near capacity as it is.
Right.
Because they're for profit. I mean, just a thing that made me realize this is just earlier this year, I had this project where we were to recommend what size of a hospital a medical company would build in a certain area, depending on demographics and stuff, because the point was that you didn't want to be over too much on beds because now you're reducing profit, because now you have all this extra overhead to pay for. You have to pay for the equipment, the place, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking, why is it like that? I mean, I get it. It's a business first. Morally, I have a problem with that.
Yeah. And that's the problem too. Like the people that are working in that field, they want to help you. The problem is the corporate side of it and the insurance side of it.
Yeah.
That's what screws a lot of people over.
Right. I mean, if there was, and that's getting into a whole nother like topic, like socialized healthcare and things like that, and making it public and like not privatizing more. I'm for broadly socialized healthcare in a lot of ways. This is getting off topic though, just because it's not. But
right. But yeah,
and it's so easy to get over capacity too. So that's the other thing that it's like that scares people, and it should be. There's a big influx of new people coming into the hospital that are sick. That might only be 10 beds.
Right.
That might be less than 10 beds if we're honest. 10 rooms. I mean, they've got extra cots and stuff, but it's not like it's the Civil War with so many people just getting amputated everywhere and everything. And oh, now we need to put stuff in the garage. That's because you're out of space. And that still sucks. That is not a good thing. I'm not saying that it is. And I'm not saying suck it up, deal with it. What I'm saying is that also incites a lot of panic that's not constituted.
Right. And with that, especially working in that field, like I can only imagine the stress that's get put on by these nurses and doctors. Like I can only imagine.
Well, and being from Cleveland, we know a lot of people like that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, geez, here we have a medical mecca here. So
That is
like,
that's where you go in the country if you want, if you're serious about it.
yeah, like I think somebody was telling my one friend, she's a nurse at I think it's I forget what hospital it is, but the branch out the clinic. And apparently they're going to be opening a Cleveland clinic in London.
I know that they have one in the Middle East somewhere.
Yeah, but yeah, they're bringing one to England.
Yeah, that I didn't hear about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, because her friend is I think she might not be a traveling nurse. I don't somewhere along the lines of that. But yeah, she's going to go out there and train everybody there, like how they do it at the clinic here in Cleveland.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is amazing. Because I mean, geez, I mean, just with the clinic in UH and Metro, like they're some of the best hospitals in the country.
Right.
But like I said, going back to the topic we're talking about, I can only imagine, especially like almost a lot of these hospitals in the country are like looking at them like, what do we do?
Right.
Like, how do we test?
Right.
How do we test for this? How do And it's insane. And God, I couldn't even imagine the hours they put in just to get a COVID, to make a COVID test.
Right.
And just that workload. And I bet you it burned a lot of people out.
Well, yeah, it does all the time. I mean, yeah, I couldn't imagine doing a job like that. And I'm so happy that there are people better than me to do that.
There's a lot of stronger people than me out there who can do that. And I salute them because, geez.
Before we started, didn't you have some notes you had written down about statistics or something?
Oh, yeah. Hold on, I'm going to pull this up. So I found this website. When I had a break at work, I was looking at some stuff, so maybe we can talk about. And I found this website, calendar.com. And if you ever want to like read this, it's actually very interesting. It's a very interesting read. But like one of the statistics I found out on working too hard is, and I'm quoting this, working too hard over an extended period of time can eventually lead to all manner of health problems, such as depression, high levels of stress, high blood pressure, infertility, which that one's still kind of throwing me off.
Yeah.
Migraines, diabetes, allergies, heavy drinking, and impaired memory. After I read that, I'm like, I can totally see that.
A lot of those things have got to coincide with each other, though. Like, obviously, heavy drinking is going to be impaired memory. But I mean, stress overall actually does absolutely impair your memory too. I don't get the infertility part.
Yeah,
I've never heard of stress causing infertility.
I don't know. That might be something we have to both research up on. But yeah, I don't know how.
I mean, yeah,
because I don't know how that would affect that. But
I mean, I guess it does.
But like everything else, I can see like the stress levels, the high blood pressure, depression, migraines, heavy drinking, the impaired memory. All that I understand.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. What I'm seeing that I'm looking up is that it's specific with women.
Really?
So this says, this is coming from health.usnews.com.
Okay.
A recent study found that women with high levels of alpha amylase, an enzyme that correlates with stress, have a harder time getting pregnant.
Huh.
So it's like an inhibitor for fertility, specifically for eggs, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, no, that sounds about right. I don't know. I'm no medical expert at all.
Now, I don't know what Mayo Clinic is, but
Yeah,
this is like a Q&A with a doctor. This is from 2013 too, so this is also like, I'm sure that they've followed up on this. Saying that it is unlikely that stress alone can cause infertility. However, it does interfere with the woman's ability to get pregnant. So it looks like it's one-sided, because I don't want to get gross here. What custard is made of is a very specific recipe. And it's one of the last biological like assets that men lose
Yeah.
when they're malnourished, when they're like on the verge of dying. It is one of the very last parts that stops working.
Right.
And it is very specific in calorie count. And because it is just a recipe. And if it's not there, it doesn't work. So why would your body put something out that doesn't work? It just won't do it.
Right.
So that's why I was confused at first, because why would stress affect that? I mean, it's more physiological, and not that there isn't physiological harm that can come from stress, but I would feel like it's more self-inflicted based on the mental complications that come from stress.
Right. Well, and the other thing I was reading on that too was excuse me, was then like, then it throws your diet off. You're not working, you're not being active as much because all you want to do is just go home and go to bed. Like,
I get that a lot.
Yeah, and it also like it affects your personal life so badly because I mean, like, it's you have a wife and kids, and you're working 60, 65 hours a week.
Yeah.
I get it. You love your wife, you love your family. I get that. But sometimes after working that much, all you want to do is just crawl under the covers and not wake up for like 3 days.
Right. I mean, that obviously is also a lot of depression there.
Right, and that's a big sign of depression because you're just burning yourself out. You're not giving yourself time to relax. You're not giving yourself time to mentally recharge, and it does wear on you.
Yeah.
And I can kind of vouch for it, and you can too. For a little bit there during the heart of the pandemic, like like half of the people, half of the workforce was working from home.
Right.
The other half was like myself and you. We were out there making a living because my field, we have to keep this country moving. We need to get soap to people. We need to get medical supply, medical machines, supplies, whatever you name it. We had to get it. Like, it has to go from point A to point B. It needs to get where it needs to go. And it did mentally put a strain on you because you're out here every day, and especially like the first excuse me, the first few months of it, you're like, well, I can I go to work and get this, like, just out of the blue? Like, I don't know if Joe Schmo over here has COVID or not. Like, you don't know. And
right.
It puts a lot of stress on you.
Right.
It actually gives you it actually amplifies your anxiety. Because
not only that, there was a curfew. You literally had a card.
Yeah, I literally had to get a piece of paper from FedEx and say, like, when we had the curfew, if I got pulled over, I had to show the cop, like, look, I'm coming home from work.
Right. And that was just what you had to do. I'm not complaining about that either. Like, when everybody was thrown into lockdown, no one's ever experienced before.
Right.
When the fuck did that happen to this scale? Ever.
Yeah.
8 billion people are on lockdown.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like, my dad, he's in the trades, but he's in HVAC. One of my buddies is in HVAC, and a lot of their work is at the hospitals. Like, they were literally at ground zero.
Yeah.
During that, and it stressed them so badly.
Right. A lot of these things that you were talking about, the like the side effects and like just the different coping mechanisms and stuff that people use, we could have checked off 85% of those things, if not more.
Yeah, that was a lot of beer drink. But I mean, also at the same time, like, it sounds bad, but what else did you have to do? What else could you do?
Right. I mean, because it wasn't like we were going out, but we're two people that at this point, then we're just seeing each other all the time. So it's basically just your household then.
Right.
And it was way out. I mean, it's in your barn. There's nobody near there. You can't catch anything that isn't already coming in.
Right. And we were technically outside, so there's always moving air. We're not in a house, so that's stagnant air, recycled air going through the furnace.
Right. But still at the same time, it was like purgatory.
Right. But yeah, I don't know, it's crazy because like looking back at it now, and you're like, wow, I don't know how like if I could only imagine like you couldn't go anywhere like for work, like you had to go from home, and grocery shopping was just so freaking stressful.
So as far as FedEx is concerned with their like employee sort of like health program that they have, and I'm not talking just like literal medical and stuff, is there any sort of like mental health awareness slash like thing that FedEx does for its employees? Like, is there like therapy that's included on stuff? I don't know. Is there a group, a hotline, this or that, or support group of some sort?
See, I've never really looked into that. I would assume we do, just because how big of a corporation we are, and yeah, I would really have to look into that, but I would believe so because I mean my job's very stressful,
Right.
and I have especially as being a supervisor, I have to make sure everything's done correctly, everyone's working safely because we have 7,000-pound machines with giant blades on them driving around. Like you have to make sure everyone's being safe. Nobody's climbing on stuff and they have the potential to fall and hurt themselves. Like it's
Right.
insane. And that's like that's actually our biggest, like that's the number one rule is safety above all, because you're working with heavy machinery, and that's why the nice thing is like we have the bodies now where the workload is starting to get a little bit less on certain people because we have numbers now, so then we can move more efficiently and not burn people out.
Yeah.
And trust me, I was there a year, like this time last year. I worked my tail off.
That's one thing that I want to do more research on as to how prevalent that is just in general. I don't know what I don't know either like the count is on that or anything, or how much that's been increasing lately. I know that for the agency that I work at there, I mean, there is some support there. I don't know specifics for it. For me personally, and I'll ask you your opinion on this too. For me personally, I don't think that therapy is necessarily an effective thing for myself. I understand that can help a lot of people. And I'm not saying that as like, oh, well, it doesn't work because it's psychological, because it's this, because it tricks you, because of blah, blah, blah. I mean, if it works, it works. If you go to therapy and you use it and you come out of it feeling any better, it fucking worked.
What?
I don't see myself ever doing that.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like therapy is like actual medicine. So it works for some people and it doesn't work for others.
Right.
Like
it's also the way that you like just everybody's different, and it's especially different between men and women, and you can say that that's sexist. You can go fuck yourself, because there could also be a bigger group of men that go to do that. I have no idea.
No, yeah, like I even with or without therapy, I always believe that you need to have good mental health, because you only have one life. You have to find ways to enjoy. You can't just be stressed all the time.
Well, and that's exactly my point with this whole thing. I mean, if you are just overworked so much, what's even the point? I mean, you could make more money doing that, sure. But I mean, if you have to just ruin yourself doing it, then, and I've sort of been thinking about things in a different perspective from that way too, because you could pride yourself on being able to work more than the next person. That happens a lot. It's like, I mean, people we know, and I'm not going to name drop anybody, but who work these ridiculous hours doing, multiple jobs, a full-time, a couple part-time or whatever, and do all this stuff. At what point is that pride getting in the way of for whatever reason, of getting in the way of your actual happiness? At what point is that just like, who cares if you work all of these hours if it's not for anything? I mean, and that's not to say that people that like run their own business that do legit work 100 hours a week and that's what they like to do. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
But I see that a lot happening in like in my grad program and stuff too.
Yeah.
People sort of using that as like a bragging right, which
Yeah. And I mean, I know some people who are like that, and like I get it. Like if you love what you do, more power to you. I'm not saying I don't love the job I do, but there's quite a few times I'm like, yeah, I would, rather be relaxing in a hammock or something, or but
well, right. I mean, the whole point of working, and even like some of these people on Shark Tank will tell you the whole point of getting rich is for them is to set yourself free from having to have these schedules with organizations that at the end of the day you don't actually care for. Like they're not actually like it's not your thing. It's
right.
not. Why would you care so much about? At the end of the day, are you going to run yourself into the ground working for the company that you work for? I mean, no, I absolutely won't, because I need to get something out of it. The whole point is to give myself the ability to do these things. And I think, and obviously a lot of people are understanding that too, with people going to work for places that are better to them.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with that. Like my job, like yeah, you have a start time, but you have no set end time if you're full time or your salary. But at the end of the day, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, like during the summertime, yeah, we're balls to the wall, we're hammered down, we're moving freight. But in the wintertime, it's nice because unlike FedEx Ground, FedEx Express, we start going into our slower seasons or our slower season. So that really, it's a nice little break for everybody.
Right.
Like there's not as much freight coming in, we can give days off and it won't go against your attendance. And some guys take advantage. Well, they don't take advantage of it, they'll take the opportunity. Because like I did it last year. There was a few days I'm like, you know what, I just need a day to chill out, relax, and enjoy a day off for once.
Right. But even while you're working too, I mean, workplace like happiness while working is also incredibly important too. Because how much of your life is actually spent? You probably spend like a third of your life at work.
Yeah.
So being happy while doing the job too at the same time is just so there have to be leniencies even while you're working too. Like there's just this balance that I just don't see happening. I don't know. At this point, I'm just going to be sort of like rambling a bit.
No, and that's the other thing too. Like I work with a lot of guys. I work with a lot of great guys and gals, and that's the biggest thing too. It really helps out when when you're at a place and everybody's kind, friendly. They want to engage, they want to help you, and it's awesome. I've also worked jobs where nobody likes each other, and it's a giant clusterfuck.
Right.
Man, unfortunately, that's a lot of your service industries, which sucks because that's an industry you really have to be engaging with your employees and just strangers.
Yeah.
Where in my line of work, I see maybe one or two strangers a week, if that.
Yeah.
So it's different all across the board, but I feel like I don't know. It's hard to find something that you love to do. I mean, everybody's got that niche, but I feel like you need to make the most of it because working gets food. It puts food on the table, a roof over your head, heat your home, get you clothes, food, everything.
Right, but that's like the basic level structure of what work I think should be for, though. That's just like the bottom part of a hierarchy of needs.
Right.
Because we should be moving beyond that. It shouldn't just
you work for your needs, but like I said, I've always been a firm believer, find something that you love to do and do it.
Right.
Like if I had the opportunity to go on a morning shift, I'd go back and coach football again. I love coaching football. Not saying I'm not I don't like my job, but I also that's another thing I've always loved.
Yeah. Well, you also have to have time to be able to do things like that too.
Right.
Well, and then you're just further contributing to society in different ways then also.
Yeah. But I also,
it just enriches the community.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I always tell people you have one life to live.
Right.
Don't work your life away. Go out and do something fun. Grab a beer with a buddy. Go see a movie. Go see a concert. Now that everything's opening back up, finally, people are, I think, starting to able to do that.
Well, now they're closing back down too. I don't know what stuff's like there. I know that a lot of places on the East Coast, you have to mask in stores and stuff. Colorado is pretending it is not happening. It's not a thing here. There is nowhere other than a government building that you have to wear a mask.
Well, I know out here in I think it was Cuyahoga County, they it's a mask advisory. They are encouraging people to wear. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a thing here, but they also are not limiting capacities in restaurants.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. I don't even think we're 50% vaccinated. So
the country?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know that statistic, but that's the thing. You just need a better way to, I don't know, find something fun that helps you release stress. I'm not, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, not a doctor. This is just my personal experience. Find something you like to do. Make it a hobby. Do something that's fun that you love to do and get your mind off of work so you can mentally relax and your mind's working in a different way where I have to get this done, where you're oh, I can do this and this and and it just makes life more enjoyable than working your life away.
So Colorado, actually, specifically, people ages 18 to 64, we are 75% vaccinated. In a state that pretends it's not happening. People over 65, we're at 98.5%. And then under 18, and I know that there's a thing about the age and stuff like that, it's really low. It's 21.5%.
Right.
But most states are like that. But most states are also assholes.
But yeah, going back to it, I don't know. It's hard.
Ohio's very low for everything. There's a lot of dipshits in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, you're not living in Ohio, and I can say it because I live in Ohio. There's a lot out here. You can say that everywhere in the country, but
Utah, where they were having the biggest problems because they were paying. I think police officers were getting paid extra to get the vaccine, or people in general were just they were literally paying the police force to get vaccinated because they had all of these vaccines that were going bad. People over the ages of 65, they're at 99.9% vaccinated. And people between 18 and 64, they're at 72.5.
Interesting.
That's pretty good. I was just surprised, considering it's a liberal hoax, but that's okay. But I mean, right. At the end of the day, the whole point is that we're all here. We all have to share the planet. We all have to share our lives, basically. So we have to take care of each other. So.
Oh yeah, and that's I don't know. I've always been a kind, nice person. I think I get told that. I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm an idiot. But
who actually tells you that? Give me one person.
Older. One of the guys at work. His name's John.
Oh yeah.
I think he's in his 50s, and there was a bar next to work, and it was once a week or once every other week, I'd meet him up after work for a beer.
Right.
And he'd see somebody he knows, oh yeah, this is Jesse. Work with him at FedEx. Nicest guy you ever meet on the dock. He's probably hands on one of the nicest guys we have there. And he's just a good person. And I'm like, oh.
Did you make out with him?
No. I try to get out of that. I try to. We had food truck coming today. We had Lorenzo's Pizza from Oberlin, which anybody listening to this has never been to Lorenzo's. I highly recommend it.
Also, you made out with the pizza.
I thought about it, but after we had the pizza, me and my other supervisor were like, oh man, I could take a nap after this pizza.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it also hits you like a fucking brick.
Our boss walked by. We have a guy who's out on COVID, who was out on COVID leave. He's gonna be back, I think, next week. We're like, hey, Jordan, can we go home? We made out with Turner a few weeks ago, so yeah, can we go home? He didn't buy it, obviously.
Well, at the end of the day, couple takeaways just from the discussion. I think we're moving in a different direction for just a lot of different things, and there are obviously a lot of different stressors. So I think that just employment in general is becoming more in favor of the employee, not the employer, and obviously employers are switching their habits and things like that just to be more competitive in the way of helping employees out. So I think that there obviously is hope, but I mean, for anybody that doesn't have any, there are places to look for to go get help for things, or for just food for thought to think about in general. I'm actually surprised at a lot of these statistics that I found. I'm also surprised that they were so easy and that people were looking into them so hard too. So, I mean, if you do your own research, you're going to find this stuff very quickly.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing too. There was a lot of people this time last year were super stressed, and people like you and me that just want to look shit up. Eventually, that happened, and there's a lot of research on it now. It's hopefully it will help.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's left the meeting. What's happened to him? He's on the phone. He's calling. He's calling me now. What?
My computer died. I thought it was
charged. Oh, you didn't have it wasn't plugged in?
It was a full battery when I started.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Oh, that's shitty.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'll tell everybody you said bye.
No, just tell him, be like, yeah, the computer died. I think his computer died.
No, they don't. No. Okay. All right, I'm going to end this. I'll call you back. So, yeah. Dipshit didn't know how to plug his computer in. That's okay. He'll be back on next week for episode what's probably going to end up being 5, but I guess I'll tell you later because apparently I can't count. So thanks everybody for listening. I hope that you got something from this conversation, and we will see you next time. Thanks.